Ilario, stay with us. We want to bring in a little debate into this with two familiar faces here, but stay with us. You might want to chime in. We have Fox News radio host Alan Colmes and Fox News contributor Monica Crowley with us as well. Well, Alan, you got to admit that the time for the cushy life for these incumbents who've been in office for decades and decades looks to be over.
Well, you're absolutely right. Look, I'm glad you mentioned Joe Sestak. This is not about left or right, Republican or Democrat. Joe Sestak, just like your guest, honorably served his country, sacrificed.
Rised up to the level of admiral.
And people decided to throw out both Arlen Specter and Pat Toomey. They didn't want to elect either the Republican against whom he ran. So, yes, this is an issue that defies party characterization. People want change regardless of...
We might not have a debate here.
Right. Well, I just want to give a shout out to Ilario, who I met for the first time Monday night because I emceed an event here in New York aboard the USS Intrepid to support all of our military veterans who are running for Congress this year. And the remarkable part... Hi, Ilario. I'm so proud of you.
You want a moment together? Shall we stop the program?
Don't tell my wife.
He is amazing. And what's interesting about this year is, remember, back in 2006, we had a group of veterans coming back from Iraq, and the media jumped on the story because they were all running for Congress as Democrats. This year, we have a record number of military veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. They are all running, David, as Republicans. The mainstream media, as Ilario's pointed out, is not covering that story, and they should.
Well, Alan, one thing that they are covering right now, one thing that they are covering right now is, this is not lamestream media, is the Wall Street Journal poll, which showed how deeply the president's ratings have fallen. And when you compare somebody who knows the real meaning of sacrifice to somebody who's never had to sacrifice anything in my mind, what has he ever had to sacrifice?
First of all, I'm not his spokesperson. I'm not here.
I know you're not, but I'm just asking you. You said you disagree. What has he had to sacrifice?
The point is, I don't think we need to besmirch the President of the United States in this effort, who is the Commander-in-Chief, and to whom the troops we rightly glorify answer to. So I think
they do, but I'm not in the military.
Barack Obama did not come from wealthy circumstances. He worked his way up. He put himself up by his own bootstraps. He didn't come from a wealthy family. He didn't have a rich father. He didn't have a father who was in politics. He brought himself up from humble surroundings and became President of the United States. He was not given...
That's good, but I don't see sacrifice.
I'm not sitting...
We're talking about sacrifice.
I don't think we have to sit in judgment of him and say he didn't sacrifice enough. He's done very well for himself, David.
Alan, there's a very big difference between organizing a community and organizing a defense.
Like Ilario, who have had to sacrifice for their country, who had the option not to.
Wait a second. Does sacrifice only mean military sacrifice? Is that the only kind of sacrifice?
Well, yeah, Alan, people make sacrifices every day, but you can characterize somebody making a decision to be a community organizer is very different than having to organize the defense to keep 40 sons and daughters of America safe.
I don't think that's fair.
Monica,
let me just...
You can jump in anytime. Monica, water's fine.
You guys look like you're having quite the debate over here.
We're having a great time.
Look, I think what you're seeing this year, when you see the record number of military veterans who are stepping forward to serve their country, and they're running as Republicans, but across the board what you're seeing is a wholesale rejection of professional politicians, because that is not what the Founding Fathers intended, David. What they intended was citizen legislators like Ilario, like Colonel Allen West, another good friend of mine. They intended for people to leave their chosen profession, country lawyers, country doctors.
For whom it would be a sacrifice to run for office and serve in office.
Temporary. In other words, go to Washington, serve your country for a couple of years, and then go back to your chosen profession in order to sacrifice on behalf of the nation.
I don't see that sacrifice with the guy in the White House or with most of the politicians in
voters
D.C.
are throwing them out across the board. Big spending Republicans as well as a lot of Democrats, because you know what? Voters want normalcy. They want somebody normal.
Rick Allen and then
I just see a finger being pointed at Grossman. Were you saying during the last presidential campaign that John McCain had served too long? There's a military hero, honorable man. I like John McCain, but he's been in Senate forever. Where were you then saying he should be a citizen? He should go back to private life. He served for too long.
Well, he may be forced to in point of fact. But Ilario, I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Well, Alan, David, I hope that your viewers are also mindful of the fact that the left and the president in particular have tried to take advantage of a couple of veterans to drive an agenda that the rest of this country doesn't support. You know, they picked out on Patrick Murphy, who won office in 2006, an Iraq veteran, He received almost $90,000 from MoveOn.org in his campaign, the same guys behind General Betrayus. And then he received, over $40,000 from special interest PACs to drive the Don't Ask, Don't Tell agenda. The left has been able to single out a couple of guys to try and drive a special interest agenda for them. I think what you're seeing happen now from the right.
Well, the public's pretty smart. Ilario, the public is pretty smart, and they're getting smarter by the moment, able to discern the folks who really have had to sacrifice, who had the option of having a cushy life, a Goldman Sachs prep school kind of life like you do, or give it all up to serve in the Marine Corps in Fallujah.
Well, I'm just happy to say, you look at guys like Alan, and there's a lot of them, groups like Vets for Freedom and Iraq Vets for Congress have identified a lot of veterans, and I'm happy to say that, like the Republican platform generally, it's not just a bunch of lawyers, it's real combat leaders, infantry guys that have had to close with and destroy the enemy, and that's a very different mindset than a guy who was a career prosecutor trying to, basically padding a political resume.
Ilario, Pantano, and Monica, and Alan, thank you very much. We want to know what you think, by the way, dumping all professional politicians, all of them, clean the decks. Republicans, Democrats, I don't care if they've been there too long, get rid of them. Is that a buy, sell, or hold? Text 369-249. Coming up on deck, corporate